The one comedian that we've been sitting here doing this interview that you hold in very high regard is Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle walked away from 50 million. You said it was more. Tell the story.
That's right.
I'm gonna let you tell it.
No, you're
no,
the best.
I want you to tell it.
You really are the best. You're proving it here today. As much as I'm proving it, you proving it. You proving it. Yeah, that wasn't the thing. It wasn't. People say that he lost $50 million. No, that's not even close to what happened to this dude. And until you understand what happened to the dude, you don't understand what happened. Like, no, not they offered him 50 million and he turned it down. Who gonna turn down 50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely.
Can I need another one? You here, get your number.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm so high with no edibles. You ask how does it feel? It's incredible. And now I'm standing on my pedestal. Y'all got no morals, y'all unethical. I'm so high with no edibles. You ask how does it feel? It's incredible. And now I'm standing on my pedestal. Y'all got no morals, y'all unethical. I got a baby face, call it.
What's going on, y'all? This is Terrance. I want to welcome you to another edition of Tinseltown TV, presented to you by WTV over the digital airways of YouTube. Today, we're here to talk about Terrence Howard's recent interview and what he alleged transpired with Diddy. Before we get into the reaction and talk about the interview with Terrence Howard, hit that like and subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell as well to be notified whenever new content is uploaded. Check out the community section as well. And thank you so much for vibing with this channel. Let's get into this interview with Terrence Howard and definitely react to it because it's a lot to unpack. Oh my goodness.
You know, there's a short life in
why do you think that is with the creative side?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take drugs. You're going through so much shit to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far. You know, who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what he had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head. You know, but when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and
I want to say something about this because a lot of times people, you know, I come from the church, so a lot of times you hear something like this. Oh, this is why, you know, people should avoid the world and worldly things and, you know, just only be in the kingdom. Well, hey, I've worked in the religious industry for close to 20 years and don't think that people who sing gospel music or pastor churches, that they haven't given up their man cards as well, or women have given up their womanly cards. So it's definitely a deep thing that Terrence is talking about, and definitely these things occur. And it's not just Hollywood. People who are, some women who've joined the marching band have had to do certain things. People who are in the marching band have gone through rituals and certain gazing and things of that nature. So cheerleaders, this thing is like, it's deep layered. So it's bigger than just Hollywood, what he's talking about. But this is definitely a real thing that happens in a lot of spaces.
taking care of her family and do all those things. When you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You should have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, you know, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs,
You know, what's crazy about it too is doing that doesn't mean that the promises that were made to you are even going to be fulfilled anyway. It doesn't mean that they're going to do good on these promises that they're going to make you a star, or you're going to have the #1 record, or you're going to get all this marketing and promotion, or you're going to be a model, or, you know, whatever you're being promised. It doesn't mean that what they're telling you is true. You know, my father lived in Atlanta for 33 years. So, you know, Atlanta, they shoot a lot of films there. And, you know, I've been a part of, you know, productions and things of that nature in Atlanta. And, you know, they have showcases, they have little seminars at hotels and stuff like that, and want you to buy these packages, and they sell you these promises that if you do X, Y, and Z, or you go through these workshops, that you're going to make it in the industry, or this is going to happen to you. And a lot of times these things, think about it, if you get 200 people to show up to a workshop and pay $100, that's a nice bag for you. That doesn't mean that any of those 200 people are going to get roles in the industry or something like that. So you really have to use discernment and good judgment when you are trying to pursue your goals and dreams. Or same thing with the music industry. Hey, come, we got this showcase, and, you know, you get 500 artists come, and the winner is going to get introduced to this A&R. They're going to get introduced to this executive. And a lot of times about 95% of that stuff is straight BS. So I'm glad that Terrence Howard is dropping these nuggets of wisdom.
Every way to try and get rid of any principles there are, how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever. You gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process, I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music, and he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing, and have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit because the man card means everything.
I had no idea we're going to go this direction with the podcast. This is absolute. But listen, we've talked about it. We've had a lot of the guys on to talk about this stuff. Are you done with Hollywood because of this specific reason?
I'm still working. I still, I haven't made the money necessary to do all of the other stuff. So I still have to go and do the chitlin circuit. I still have to do the job that I need to. But eventually, I've done what I set out to do, which was to redefine the universe. I've proven what I've set out to do, and that's why I have all the patents. Whether they evaluate it or not, that's up to them. But I've done the work and finished it. Now I can go on and do whatever else we need to do. Hi, everyone. My name is Terrence Howard. I'm an actor, but in the field of science also. So if you would like to connect with me, you can connect with me on Minect. The QR code is down below, and let's have a great conversation.
Man, that is a lot. Now again, that's alleged as far as but that's his story, and I don't see why there's any reason not to believe him. As far as stuff that he's been asked to do in Hollywood, and it's unfortunate, because I think a lot of times people, maybe they've gone through certain things. So a lot of times they turn around and try to, put other people through those things. Definitely we've reached that point where, that stuff is just not acceptable. And I'm not even just talking about the whole Diddy thing. I'm just talking about like a director with an actor or an actress. A lot of stuff that we saw that artists had to go through in the, back in the days. And a lot of those things just kind of trickled down, where you have like this grooming process of people being promised certain things in exchange for notoriety, money, success, opportunity. Because the thing that's so, and Terrence is a great example of this. When he did Iron Man, his story was that the studio didn't want to mess with Robert Downey because of his past troubles. And he said he offered $1 million of his salary for Robert Downey to be able to play Iron Man. And I think he said he signed on for so many pictures. But then when the sequel came around, they didn't want to pay him full scale. And so that's why he wasn't a part of the second one. But he thought that, wanted Robert Downey to go to bat for him like he did for him. And that didn't happen. And Don Cheadle ended up taking over that particular role. And that's a great example, because when you do say no to whatever you've been asked to do, that's 500 other people ready to take your role. And when certain artists stand up to these labels and they don't want to compromise their integrity, there's 1,000 other artists, 2,000 other artists is ready to, take your place. There's a lot, so the labels a lot of times have like the power, and a lot of times you're dealing with people who don't have any money. So a lot of times you get, unfortunately, people sign these deals that are not fair, not in their best interest. The question has often been asked, why I'm just talking about music right now. Why are certain artists not in the music industry? Well, you have other people who are, less talented, who are in the industry. And a lot of times these synopsis of this is people who are probably outspoken, people who are going to read their contracts, people that's not influenced by drugs and alcohol, that sometimes they won't even fool with those people. And they're going to get the artists that they want to get and have them say what they want them to say, because it's like this revolving door. So the little money that you do make, a lot of times you end up getting someone pregnant that you shouldn't get pregnant. So you got child support, you have legal problems. So a lot of the money is going to be going to lawyers and things of that nature, drugs. It's like all that stuff. It's kind of like going to Vegas, you know, like the house, they always win, because even when you do win, now you're trying to seek that validation by winning again. So you end up going back and back, and you get sucked right back in there. And Hollywood, you know, in the industry in a lot of regards is like this, because, you know, a lot of the lawyers are friends with each other. So you got prosecutors and defense attorneys who are buddy, and your life is on the line. And these guys are, you know, at the golf resort, country clubs, and things of that nature. So this is a game, and you have to really, really know what you're getting into, which is why I made the video I made the other day about Kanye. Some of the things that Kanye was saying is not that everything that Kanye is saying is BS, but the thing is, this is the industry that you went into. Now, that doesn't mean that you get in there and you start seeing these things that you don't want to do better, and you don't want to you know, see some of the things changed and be different, of course. But I think Sway was trying to ask him, hey, why don't you just fund the clothes yourself? And he basically said that he didn't have the funding to do what he wanted to do. But in my opinion, maybe even if he couldn't like roll out an entire clothing line, maybe he could have started with some small things that wasn't that big of a financial risk, and then let that stuff happen, and then, you know, keep building himself up or whatever, you know, versus the situation. I know he's done very well with the, you know, Yeezy's brand and all the stuff that he was doing. But again, you in these partnerships with these corporations, this is what you're going to get into. This is what happens when you know, enter into certain deals, and you're going into deals with very, very, very powerful people. You know, one thing I've always, you know, think about this. Think about Michael Jordan, for example. Michael Jordan did not become a billionaire until he became the owner of the Bobcats. I think that, you know, they're the Hornets now, but at the time it was the Bobcats. He didn't even get ownership until Robert Johnson, I think that's his name, Robert Johnson, the guy from BET, he sold Jordan the team that Jordan bought. And then that, you know, then because of the deals, of the TV deals and sponsorships and things of that nature, that's how Michael Jordan became a billionaire. He did not become a billionaire off of his deal with Nike, off of all the Jordans that have been sold and people waiting in line to get Jordans and stuff like that. He did not become a billionaire that way. This is the system that we're talking about, you know? So you just have to be aware of that. But again, I really, really want to drive this point home before I get out of here, that this stuff is very prevalent in the gospel industry. It's very prevalent in the church. It's very prevalent in other avenues beyond just Hollywood and the music industry. So you have to be aware of that and protect your integrity at all costs. So salute to Terrence Howard for, you know, speaking the truth. Before we get out of here, those who want to follow me on the social media sites, you can find me on Instagram at I'm in the Hills, Facebook, I'm in the Hills, Snapchat, I'm in the Hills, X, formerly known as Twitter, I'm in the Hills, and TikTok, I'm in the Hills as well. Those who want to donate to our efforts, the Cash App is I'm in the Hills, Venmo as well. And I have two websites. The first one is www.double-E, that's with two E's, double-E-TV.com. That stands for Epic Elevate the Vision. And also www.terrancehill.com as well. Connect with me on all social media sites. Really appreciate you guys for tuning into this edition of Terrance Hill TV. Again, presented to you by WTV over the digital airways of YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell as well to be notified whenever new content is uploaded. Check out the community section. And those that want to donate to our efforts, again, the Cash App is I'm in the Hills, or you can send a super chat as well to support this machine. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in to this edition, and I will see you next time. Take care.
I'm so high with no edibles. You ask how does it feel? It's incredible. And now I'm standing on my pedestal. Y'all got no morals, y'all unethical. I'm so high with no edibles. You ask how does it feel? It's incredible. And now I'm standing on my pedestal. Y'all got no morals, y'all unethical. I got a baby face, call it